Hi, it's Nova, the agent with WrightWay Realty Co. I have the pleasure of speaking with Ms. Falashade and Shamika of Link Title. Today we're going to do our segment on Behind the Keys so you can learn some more important facts of the things that goes on behind the scenes. So would you give us a little information about yourself?
Sure. I'm Shamika Woodard. I'm co-owner of Link Title here in Mobile. I am the licensed title insurance agent and I handle most of the closings that we take care of here at Link.
And my name is Falashade Anderson. I'm the attorney with Link Title, and I handle most of the title work and the searches and the legal drafting of documents.
Well, I appreciate you all taking your time today to just do this with me today because this is a special project for me. All right, so my first question would be, what exactly does the title company do to protect buyers during the home purchase process?
Well, we make sure that the title is free and clear. The owner that's selling the property is the rightful owner and the title is transferred properly. And we also offer title insurance, so if anything was to come up legally, you have that extra protection.
Okay. All right. Well, can you walk us through what happens from contract to closing from a title company's perspective?
Sure. Once we receive the contract signed by the buyer and seller, the contract basically gives us directions on how the closing should go, who's paying for what, the closing price of the property, how you would like your name listed on the deed. It's just the instructions for us. So we abide by the purchase agreement, the addendums that may come in, and we go from there. If it's a purchase cash, usually the contract is our go, but if it is being financed, we wait for the bank to contact us for title information, and then we send out a title request to our underwriter, that's who does our searches, and once they come back, we send the lender back everything they need for closing. After that, the lender draft their documents, we draft our documents, and we're ready, we're clear to close.
So let me just add one important note to that. Once the search comes back, I do a full review of the search, and if there are any holes in the search, I will go in and fill those holes. If additional documents are needed, sometimes someone has passed and we'll need something, for example, like an heirship affidavit to fill that hole and further explain the chain of title and how it has passed from the deceased person to the current seller. So we do additional due diligence in the title search once we get our searches back from the underwriter.
And that really just take care of the buyers overall, right? So they make sure
they're getting the home that they think they are buying, right, that they have contracted for. Yes.
All right. So what are the most common issues that come up during the title search, and how do you help people resolve them?
So the most common issue is that the person doesn't actually own the home. So, for example, you'll have a child that has always lived in this home. The parent is now deceased, and the child just assumed that the house is now theirs without actually going through the legal steps necessary to document that the house has actually passed from the deceased parent to the child. A lot of times people pass without a will, and the passage of the property is done as a function of law. So when you pass without a will, it's dying intestate, and the intestate succession laws take effect and determine how that property is passed from, say, parent to child or spouse to spouse, and there's certain documents that need to be created and drafted in order for those for there to be noticed in the public record of those transitions.
So to piggyback off of that, you will say wills are most important for people to have.
Not only is it important that the will be drafted and had, that it actually be probated in most cases, because a lot of people will have a will and they say, oh, this is the will, but the will was never probated, so it doesn't necessarily have legal effect, the effect that the person thinks it has.
And also another common issue is tax deeds.
Yes, tax deeds are a common issue. People will pick up a property at tax sale and somehow they've sold it to a third party for cash, and they'll do a quit claim deed to the third party and say, well, I quit claim all my interest in this property to this third party, and then the third party wants to sell the property, but when you look behind the quit claim deed, you find that there's just a tax deed, and so the tax deed hasn't been quieted, and that presents a whole nother set of issues for the buyer. And then it's up to the buyer whether or not they want to deal with those issues. But typically, we do not insure tax sale properties unless the title has been quieted.
Okay. All right. So what's the difference between a lender's title policy and an owner's title policy, and why should a buyer consider both?
Well, a lender's title policy is usually required during a transaction that involves financing. An owner's policy is optional. The difference between the two is the lender's policy protects the lender for the amount of the loan. The owner's policy protects the buyer for the amount that they purchased the property for. If any legal issues may come up, they're covered when they purchase the property and the property is transferred to them. And the difference between the owner's policy and lender's policy from any other insurances is just a one-time payment. You don't have to pay a month. It's just a one-time payment and it follows the property.
Listen, I think a lot of people think they have to add an additional charge to the mortgage, like monthly.
Right.
So that's good to know.
Pay that closing and
Yeah, that's one fee. All right. So what advice would you give first-time home buyers to help their closing go smoothly?
My advice would be to work with someone that you're comfortable with asking questions. I always tell, I live by the dumbest question is the one you don't ask. Then purchasing a home is a big milestone, so you want to be able to ask questions with whoever you're dealing with, whether it's the lender, your real estate agent, title company, or attorney. You want to be able to ask questions to make sure you understand fully each step that you're going through and what to expect.
What about you, Ashley? What you think?
I would say my advice is to bring your patience, because a home sale or the home buying process isn't an overnight transaction. It's not like you're going to the store to buy a carton of eggs. This is or even to the car dealership to buy a car. This is a major investment that you've saved a long time for, and you want to make sure that the transaction is done correctly. And sometimes it takes time to work out minor issues with the title, and you want to make sure that it's done correctly. Bring your patience, bring your understanding, and like Shamika said, ask questions. Why is it taking so long? Is there anything that I can do to help this process? What's going on? Because there may be an issue that you're not willing to deal with.
That's true. All right. Well, that sums up the questions I have. Y'all have any type of feedback, or you got anything you want to tell the viewers to make sure they choose Link Title for all their title needs, and where y'all located?
Well, we're on most social platforms. You can reach us on Facebook at Link Title LLC. You can reach us on Instagram at Link Title LLC. You can email us at info@linktitllellc.com, or you can call us and link up at 251-202-7248.
And I would just add that we are a small company, and we are willing to work with you and meet you where you are. We're mobile. You don't have to come to us. We will come to you. If you want to close at your property, at your realtor's office, at your mortgage company, or you can come to our office, and we will be happy to do the transaction wherever you are.
All right. I thank you all for joining in today on this segment of Behind the Keys. I hope you learned a lot today and know that title work is very important in your real estate journey.